Welcome to episode 351 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Vision Pro, Mac, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I got a couple great guests this week. Jill McKinley's back on the show. How you doing, Jill?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here again. I'm looking forward to spring. I got spring fever.
Yeah, let's hope it's getting some better weather. It's been pretty nice here, 50s today. So, and that person with that floppy hat is Mr. Guy Serle. How you doing, Guy?
I'm doing fine. This is the hat of intelligence.
Okay.
I had to wear it one time on the MyMac show.
But, well, you have a lot of
I should wear it every time on the MyMac show.
And also here, Marty Jencius is here from a conference. I believe you're in Florida, right? How you doing?
Yep. Orlando, Florida. And Guy, it doesn't help, just to let you know. Maybe put some fish. Put some fish hooks in it.
Yeah,
and things like
hooks.
that.
No, it's a beach hat. It's like a surfer hat.
Yeah, but hooks would add a little touch to it. Anyway,
not when I'm swimming in the water. I don't want.
Yeah.
Look, I've already lost one eye. Okay, I'm not putting fish hooks anywhere near my head. Thank you very much.
Good idea. I will definitely agree with that. So we got a lot of great things to talk about this week. Vision Pro always has a few stories. Beta, we've got the release candidate that's out. We'll talk about that as well as Mac. And Marty will give us a little bit of his experience with his iPhone 16E with the C1 modem, his experience with that, and a number of other great topics. But as we always start, this is with Vision Pro. As I said, Apple did release the release candidate on the iPhone, but they also has the release candidate of Vision Pro 2.4. That's the RC with some latest updates. I don't see much updated to it on the Vision Pro. They did do some updates to the Apple Vision Pro app. I haven't had a chance to really look closely at it, but on my 16E, I think they added some discovering new content, spatial experiences, quick access information about your device. There's a lot of the stuff they've already pretty much had on here anyway. Did you find anything? I don't know if you had the chance to even do it this week since you've been out.
I haven't had the opportunity to play with it much and didn't even think to look at the app to see if they did anything with that. I thought that would have come through. If it was going to come through the 18.4 iOS, not necessarily through the Vision Pro. I'll tell you, I will notice something new with Vision Pro when Mac Rumors changes its graphic. The article basically, is the same article. It repeats all the standard stuff that is part of what it is, but they just they just change the title to release candidate for it. I have put it on since then. Obviously, I used it on the plane on the way down since the release. And really not much new. We've already talked about guest users, spatial gallery, Vision, and the Vision Pro app. So that's where we are with 2.4.
Yeah.
The big hope was we were going to see all these wonderful things emerge in the 2.4 final release, particularly around Apple Intelligence, but not to happen. So,
then there's also starting to become some chatter about Vision OS 3. An article from Macworld that said that there's some 3 features that could turn the Vision Pro into an everyday device. They're not making it cheaper, but and of course, help. Every article's Vision Pro has been a flop. You always got to read that.
It's $3,600. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So, but the biggest thing they're going to have you'll be able to work smarter, and there is you can embrace reality. With the platform that's about spatial computing. But I don't know. I mean, this article really didn't talk about too much of what Vision Pro is going to see with. I mean, I just thought it was interesting to see what they're talking about. But we're just still finishing up on 2.4 here, wrapping up. So I mean, so it's got a long way out before we're going to see that until WWDC, which we'll talk about in a bit here.
Unless it ships with Guy's hat, I don't see how we can work any smarter.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know if it embraces reality, I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
That's right.
This seems like kind of a projective dream on the part of the author.
Yeah.
There really is nothing new. I mean, the stuff that it says we're going to do in 3.0, we're already doing in 2.4. So it's just they've repackaged it in a way to make it sound like we're waiting for the messiah of software.
Did anything else catch your eye this week with news? Because I didn't catch any. Those are the only two things I found. But I don't know if you guys.
Basically the arguments about Apple intelligence and what happens if it doesn't come.
The continued debate.
That was about it.
It's pretty quiet.
Some articles saying Samsung's device, guess what? It's going to be just as expensive when it's priced out as Vision Pro. So, but yeah, not really a lot.
Yeah, light week here on Vision Pro. So we'll go ahead and move on. So as I mentioned, beta iOS 18.4 was release candidate came out this week. Again, it's got the priority notifications, the ambient music, and so much more. That was released with also some add some sketch style in Image Playground, as well as new emoji characters and like other stuff. And Jill, we were talking pre-show, and you said you showed me. I don't know if the others can see it in the chat, but you were playing around the Image Playground of yourself, and it turned out pretty good. But I don't think you're too happy with it, right?
No. I was kind of hoping a little bit more for the sketch because that sounded actually something that would be pretty useful for it. I don't know what it's taking off of the pictures, but yeah, I think it has some way to go.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah, I actually tried that with a picture of me, and it didn't seem to matter how much I put into it or took away from it. It was. I have no idea who this is a picture of, but it's not me. It didn't even
I'm in Orlando, and basically you walk outside into Disney World and everything's Image Playground. So
that's true. So
I've never felt closer to an Apple product than that.
Walking around Disney World.
Yeah, pretty much. So there's a number of different things. We've been talking about it for a while here. Some of the changes that are with the release candidate, the Visual Intelligence Control Center shortcut, and the ambient music is an interesting thing. Where now you can there's 4 customizable ambient music stations that are available in the Control Center shortcut. That it's the aforementioned Visual Intelligence shortcut are also there too. That they're the ones that are available initially is including sleep, chill, productivity, and well-being. Each type.
So they have a new one.
Yeah, they did have a new one here. They've got a new Mac app that's going to be coming to the iPad. That updated mail app is going to feature categories as well as it's been available for iOS beta for a while now. But up until 18.4, it's been unavailable for the iPad. So they finally got it on the iPad here this latest round. A couple of handy photos updates. They're saying there's two new filter types, not in an album and shared with you. You can rearrange utilities into media types, and you also can view the main album page with a key photo instead of the default list view. Of course, we talked about News Plus food recipes and macOS proximity based setup, so you can actually set up the device from a Mac as well, and there's a number of other things that are coming. So again, the hype was we were hoping that the Apple Intelligence was going to be somewhat ready for prime time. It is not. It's got a long way to go.
It won't be ready.
And we talked about that. We had that debate a number of weeks ago about the whole thing, and I don't drag that on again. But
I'm curious as to how they're going to spin this for WWDC, which is just coming up in June.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
because they've made so many now broken promises in relation to Apple Intelligence that are they going to come out and do a mea culpa as far as the features that they said was going to be there for the Mac and iOS, or are they just going to go, hey, never mind all those things we said then, here's all the things we're saying now?
Yeah, it's a sad thing. But go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
My fantasy is that they do come out and they say, hey, well, we did this. We found that we weren't going to get to the target using this model, because part of the description is they have to kind of move away from just machine language. They're not going to be able to build it on top of that. They have to go to something a little bit more like LLMs, but getting context. So I think they apologize, they explain, and they go, this is why the product was not released when we thought it was released, because our projections were based on a different platform. And developers, here's all the new packages that things that you can use to now create for this new platform that we're working on. So that's kind of my fantasy, that they give them a bunch of goodies to play with, to develop with, and at the same time apologize their mistake.
I would just like to see less hype and more kept promises.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
On the positive side, I tried every other feature today, except for installing a new Mac. So there's that. The music is pleasant. The recipes are good. I'm looking forward to more of that. So I enjoyed what was there.
Do they have anything for pressure cookers, Instapots, anything like that? Or is it more generic? Here's a pot and here's an oven. Here's some stuff to make a dish.
I don't know. I didn't do a deep dive in it. I'm not sure how far it goes, but I thought it was a good start. And I did have some hope that eventually there'd be more features with it as we go that you see in recipe apps. But yeah, I tried it out and I found some good things that I thought, yeah, this looks good. So, but I did try everything.
I mean, basically everything except knowing when my mother-in-law's plane is going to land.
That would be a feature I would want.
No, that's a bug. Let her fly up there. Let her just go around and round. And
well, it would be more like a warning than a notification.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I love my mother-in-law. Let me say it again. I love my mother-in-law.
Okay.
My mother-in-law is no longer with us, so I love her too.
Yeah, we got some updates coming here. Hopefully they'll be out soon here. Lastly, the watchOS, there is they are going to make sure that you don't miss your alarms because there was an update in 11.4 that makes a small but useful change to the way the alarms work on the Apple Watch. Do you guys use that alarm on the Apple Watch? I always use it on my iPhone, honestly.
I have it on my. I turn it on via my iPhone, but because my wife doesn't work anymore, I have it set so that the watch I wear at night buzzes my wrist instead of making an audible alarm.
Right.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, I use it as a backup, and there have been getting ready for this flight down here that was going to leave at 5. That I had to leave my house at 5:30 in the morning. I don't want to miss that, so wearing the watch, setting the alarm, is a backup to other alarms that I might set to get me out of bed. So it's not a primary source for me, but I'll use it occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah. So what the update did was it includes an option to allow the wake up alarm you set up for sleep mode to break through the silent mode that is activated on your watch, which means it'll be less likely for you to sleep through your alarm when it's going off. Right now, if you're on silent mode turned on, Apple Watch alarm will use haptic feedback, like you said, Guy, vibrations to help you on the wrist to wake you, but it won't make any noise. I always would have a kind of a problem with that. I would rather have the alarm, honestly. Both my wife and I still work, so it doesn't bother either one of us, honestly. But once we don't work, we don't have to alarms anymore. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I always thought it would be nice that you if you have someone else in the room and they don't want to get up at one time you want to get up, then it would be really nice to just be able to do the haptic. And I've used it at time when I'm camping in groups of little tents all over the place, and I didn't want to wake up everybody. But I always thought that was the feature of it, is that it does the haptic thing. So I don't know.
It wakes me up. I don't know if if it would wake anybody else up, but it certainly gets me up and going.
Yeah.
So that's it on iOS. macOS, Sequoia, they had to come out with a second beta, which was just actually released today as we record this on a Thursday. it provided developers a second release candidate for testing purposes. Like I said, just a few days ago was released. There was a bit of problems, so people were having problems updating. I think that was one of the big things was, so they did release the second candidate. It's going to have the mail categorization that they've added, but not much notability as far as any updates. Did you see anything? I don't know. You probably didn't upgrade this week, so you probably didn't look at it, so, Marty. But
as we're sitting here recording this, I get a notification that there are updates for my laptop. So,
please,
I'll do that afterwards. Yeah, yeah. Please do not push the button now.
Well, I mean, or even before.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, although you're probably heading home this week soon, so you'll be okay. So not much else to say on macOS, but what I want to do talk about you a little bit, Marty. You sent me a message the other day and said that you were having some problems connecting to some locations where you were because the internet wasn't real good in your hotel room, as well as some of your connections, like through your Wi-Fi, was having a problem. So, but you did try to use your iPhone 16e, which has the brand new Apple C1 modem, and you said you had a really good experience, and you were pleasantly surprised. What happened that happened?
Before I tell you about this, this is why I said before the show we're going to get these lapel microphones. We're going to try and record the story. My son and I do a show called Gear Up and Go. And so this is field testing the kinds of things that I had. I got a CMO and I got a 5G CMO. And those work well if you're in a place where there is 5G. And it surprised the heck out of me that 5G, at least in and around this hotel, all I could get was 4G T-Mobile. And it wouldn't switch signals to any of the 5G around. So the throughput of that was not enough to do any streaming podcasting or broadcasting. And really, it working off the hotel Wi-Fi was better. I'm lucking out with the hotel Wi-Fi here. I can do Zoom, but I can't do Ecamm. But a couple of nights ago, I brought with me my 16 Pro Max, which is, okay, granted, it's on an AT&T line. And I brought with me my 16E, and the 16E was in the room that I'm in able to pull a 5G signal, whereas the Pro Max was not. It was only able to pull an LTE signal.
Wow.
Again, two different providers. I'm 17 floors up, close to a window, and so I'm pretty impressed with the modem that is on this 16E. Remember, the 16E has the C1 modem that Apple produced versus the 16 Pro Max.
What's the carrier that you're using with that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm using with the 16E. I'm using Mint Mobile.
Oh wow!
Really?
Line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what was on the 16 Pro Max?
AT&T.
Okay, so AT&T wasn't doing so well for you.
No, and I'm in the middle of Orlando.
T-Mobile, isn't it?
Mint's T-Mobile.
What?
Yeah, MVNO
T-Mobile network?
Yeah, MVNO for T-Mobile. Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't get it on my 5G CMO as a Wi-Fi.
That's T-Mobile too?
Well, it defaults to a T-Mobile 4G.
Okay.
It'll pick, you can switch it so it picks up whatever signal is good. And I've gotten AT&T off of it every once in a while, but generally it first connects to the T-Mobile.
Well, it's good to hear. I got a good experience with that. Could be the future here from the future of iPhones that Apple will release these next gen modems, and they'll begin to completely ease away from Qualcomm when it comes to modems here. So it's definitely gonna be interesting. So, all right, Guy, you mentioned earlier, yes, WWDC is going to be on. It was announced. It's going to be on June 9th through the 13th. I believe that was what the dates I saw here. Yep.
Is it all virtual again?
No, that's one thing. This is it's going to last for 5 days, and like it has for each year. The first day on the 9th is going to be probably the keynote, and looks like it's going to be in person. But they are going to have an actual in-person Apple Park event, and of course,
Wow.
how you can attend, I would bet it's going to be limited to, with a lottery selection who can get out there. They won't be charging for the event, so you'll be able to go there. And Apple has not sent out media invites yet, but it's likely that select members of the media will be able to go. You got to remember that venue is pretty small, and I'm hoping that they're going to. If they're going, I don't know if they're going to live stream, but I would say they were probably. Well, this is what they've done in the past. They had the in-person event, but they're just going to watch the pre-produced keynote, like they've done in the last couple of years.
I think they're doing a live.
Mistakes.
You think they're going to do a live event?
I think they're doing a live event because they're going to announce the Apple car. All of that.
Yeah.
No,
of that
Marty,
was
you're so wrong. It's the Apple 3D television. Finally.
There you go. So, we can anticipate iOS 19. We can anticipate macOS 16. We can anticipate all those things. It'll be a software focused event. Rumors are, and I haven't really delved into those rumors. I think it's just a lot of rumor right now, but a lot of speculation is saying that iOS 19 is going to be a drastically upgraded version of iOS, more so than it has been in quite a long time. But again, like I said, they're rumors. I'm not going to bank it just yet. As we get closer, we'll probably start hearing more and more things. But we'll be able to beta test it and take a look at it and see where it is. But I'm excited. I mean, we've got what? It's going to be about 3 months here until we. That's 2.5, 3 months yet. So until it happens. So we'll look forward to it.
They say, the slogan they were going to use is iOS 19, just kind of the same update you're used to. It didn't go well with the marketing department, so they had to say it's going to be incredible and a drastic change, and that feels like a little too much hype to believe.
Even ChatGPT was like, I can't do anything. Come on.
Yeah. So, a couple other things I wanted to hit on here. Sorry, folks, the iPhone Mini is dead. Apple is not planning another small iPhone. Sorry to our friend Brittany Smith. I know she loves that little iPhone 13 mini that she has, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. There was a live stream Q&A session from Mark Gurman, and he says Apple.
Mark Gurman?
Mark Gurman. Apple currently has no plans.
Mark Gurman.
No plans to have a smaller iPhone model. They discontinued from the iPhone 13 mini. That's September 2023, so that hasn't been too long, but it's going to get long in the tooth here pretty quick. And of course, they discontinued the iPhone SE last month in place for the 16e we've been talking about. But there's a very big vocal group of customers that are wishing that Apple would just bring it back because people love the small size. There are people out there who really love the small size.
It doesn't even have to be like the 5.4 inch that the other one was. It could be just like something under 6 inches.
Yeah.
I think most people that want a smaller phone would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Foldable.
Yeah.
Wait for the fold.
No.
That's the other one. Yes, that could be another reasoning why they're probably just going to keep it in the past. What do you thought on that, Julie? With this 13, did you have a small one? You always had a bigger phone.
Who, me?
Yeah.
You said me?
So yeah.
Yeah, I do have a bigger phone, primarily because of the camera. But then they ended up switching to the smaller Pro, having the good camera too, and so I was going that direction. But I do have small hands, I do have small pockets, and it is hard to deal with this phone, and it is falling out in my car all over the place. So I was rethinking it a little bit, but so I'm a little disappointed. My friend also wanted a really small phone for the same reasons, and I guess we're gonna have to do something else.
Yeah. No, I think that's what's going to probably end up happening is.
Or do you think, Jill, do you think a foldable phone is like the way to go, or do you think that that's just a pipe dream?
If they could put the best camera in the foldable phone, I am all there. If it ends up having to make compromises because of the way the technology works, then probably not. So it depends if there's any degradation because of the foldable phone, but I would be in favor of that, sure. small hands, small pockets. I would, that'd be great.
Yeah, I love. Go ahead.
On the way out here, I sat next to a Chinese gentleman who had this huge phone, and it then turned out to be foldable. And I'm like, "What kind of phone is that?" And he's like, "It's a Huawei." And I was like, "Oh, okay,
Huawei.
Huawei." Well, yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you, Guy, one of the best experiences I had was with the Pixel Fold, because it folds essentially to the size of a pack of cigarettes, which means it's ready for people's pockets.
And it's addictive.
Yeah, yeah. You light up one end and you can't stop puffing.
Yeah.
It was, and so when I think of a foldable form factor, I've also had one of the Samsung ones. It's this long brick that you open up, and it just still doesn't work in the pocket. But the Pixel Fold was really nice in terms of size and containment. And I don't know if Apple does a foldable phone. I hope they do that kind of form factor.
Well, what about seams in this on the screen?
What about what on the screen?
Seams. Did you see one?
No. And I treat my stuff gently. Yeah, I mean, what's going to make noise is when that happens, and then they'll draw attention to it, and you'll see a bunch of news articles on it. And it's not as prevalent as one would think in the phones. And this Huawei phone was just really clear. So was the last Samsung. I bought the Z Fold 6, and no problems with seams. Apple is talking, I think in the foldable phone thing, they were talking about having a liquid metal kind of hinge, was what I read somewhere. So some new technology that they're looking at.
And that's the thing. The foldable phones have been a phenomenon, but I think Google had theirs, that you had the Pixel Fold. Samsung had theirs, and I don't think it was
It didn't seem like it made a real big splash in the market.
Oh, remember when Microsoft had their ridiculous phone that was a foldable? That was one of the worst things they ever
Zen
made.
or whatever the hell it was that here today, tomorrow.
And I would argue for me, it was the platform. There was nothing I could really do on the platform since I was so drilled into because I'm so drilled in, and I couldn't do cross-platform stuff, so I couldn't do Android apps that run on Apple that I choose to use or wanted to ever use. So for me, it's if that combination happens, a good foldable phone and on an Apple platform, I would be real interested in it. And some of these things don't like Google Glass was supposed to be a revolutionary product. It was it was like 10 years before people started actually looking at wearable. And now people are very much the wave of the wearable is happening.
Yeah, talk about a flop.
Yeah.
Well, do you?
I got one in my. I got one in my closet. Yeah.
Samsung could possibly make a go out of finally having a third entry into the mobile OS department rather than just piggybacking off of Android. And I say that because I don't know if you've ever tried Dex.
No.
You've tried that a bunch of times. So
I have, and I was really impressed. And that's the kind of thing I would like to see in mobile. Something different, something new. A real computer in your pocket. But other than Samsung, no one's even really tried it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely going to be something interesting to see here with that. So let's go ahead and move on here. We'll talk about a few things that caught my eye here. This was with Apple Music. There's now going to be Apple Music now is going to be integrated with more DJ apps. Apple announced that this week that it's now integrated with many DJ software and hardware platforms, allowing DJs with an Apple Music subscription to build and mix sets from Apple Music's catalog of more than 100 million songs. The popular DJing app DJAY by it already offered Apple Music integration since last year, but now there's additional platforms that are going to be offering this support, including Alpha Theta, Serato, and In Music's Engine, DJ, Denon DJ. There's a number of others here. So looks like Apple is trying to get more integrated with DJ so they can use their Apple Music catalog while they're doing their thing.
Well, they kind of now, but it usually takes like 2 phones to do it.
Does it? Okay. Have you experienced it?
No, but I've seen some setups. The big problem is trying to do transitions and trying to do all the all the stuff that DJs throw in, right,
when they do it on the records,
and trying to do that on a single screen while still trying to bring up other songs and sometimes they're even like controlling lights and stuff like that depending on the platform.
Yeah.
If they could make it so that a DJ could do all of those things at the same time on a single phone, then yeah, I think that would be great. But I don't know how big of an audience that's going to be.
Yeah, Marty, you were
when I was DJing the Kardashians last week. No, I was just kidding. I was.
Marty, you worked in radio. What do you think of this? Is this something that
I did? Well, I'm sure that whole platform has changed now, if it still exists as far as terrestrial radio. But so I haven't gotten to the digital aspects of it in trying to do it with apps and such. It was all slip queuing and actual records and I was in through the CD movement too, but also timing intros and beats per minute, and I did some club work for a while on top of it, on top of having a really poorly paid job for doing terrestrial radio with music. So I haven't gotten into the digital part of it. It kind of brings back flashbacks of ecstasy overdoses that I had while working the clubs. So
the 70s were very, very good to me, probably.
Oh boy. So no, I mean, I with all these services, I think DJs are finding it more and more old days, everybody, you remember the DJs would be bringing along all their albums with them, and then it moved to DAT tapes, and then it went to CDs, but they still want the records because the scratching they did all the time, and now you can do that with the little scratching ladders on the digital device.
Yeah, if we scratched, the program director would come running into the studio asking us what's going on, and then we'd have to get another copy of the record.
Yeah,
Marty, I'll have to tell you some things. My brother worked at a AM station long time ago, back in the late 60s, and he was talking about how some of the Beatles albums would have little notes on the back. It would say, "Oh, you can't play this song because of drug references," or something like that.
Yeah. We would, as music directors, we'd have to listen to the whole thing and try and catch those dirty words, and then type up a card telling people not to play them. Yeah.
7 words you can't say on television.
Or the radio.
Or the radio, for that matter. Yes.
Yeah.
So moving on here, AirPods Max, they're getting a little bit of love here. They're actually going to be doing an update to it with gaining lossless audio. And a lot of kind of chatter back and forth about this. The fact of the matter that it did gain this, that is the low latency audio and the lossless audio, and they'll be bringing that to the AirPods Max with this upcoming iOS 18.4 update. That they said this, and Apple, from their press release, says with this update, AirPods Max will unlock 24-bit, 48 kilohertz lossless audio, preserving the integrity of the original recordings and allowing listeners to experience music the way the artist created it in the studio. Lossless audio.
See, that's the way a DJ would say that there, Dave.
No, that's what I did. That's why I did that. So,
okay. All right. It's 104 degrees out there today. Traffic on the I-5.
Yeah. So, the AirPods Max were in just, my gosh, it's been almost 5 years. December of 2020 is when they came out. And then they updated it in September 2024 with the USB-C version. There's no real difference other than the jack between those two models. So, AirPods Max can be had for a lot less price, especially the Lightning pair. I bought the Lightning pair for my wife, and she's currently using it on vacation now. And it's going to be good to see her as far as that goes. So Apple does say the lossless audio and the ultra low latency mode will be available in April as a free firmware update once iOS 18.4 and iPad OS 18.4, as well as Mac.
Is this going to be for all models of the iPad? I was trying to read through this. I assume.
You mean
so it'll work for the Lightning?
Yeah, that's the thing. It isn't mentioning it, but Apple did also, as I was going to mention, that there's now a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter audio cable that you can buy. So it'll allow you to connect the AirPods to a 3.5 millimeter audio source.
You couldn't do that with someone else's USB-C to 3.5?
You probably could. I mean, it doesn't mention that. So as far as that goes. There was also an article too about this fact matter. Don't buy into Apple's hype about them going lossless audio, and basically what they're saying, that this was a post on, of course it's on X, so it's solid, right? But this was actually from Apple's marketing chief Greg Josiak, saying that lossless audio and ultra low latency audio is the ultimate audio upgrade for the Apple AirPods Max, promising mind-blowing sound quality. So, of course, the marketing claim, everybody's at odds with this. So, and then also say here that with the increased sound quality of lossless audio, it is not perceptible to everyone. So it's worth keeping in mind that the upgrade will unlock the benefit when paired with low latency. These two upgrades combined with make the AirPods Max with a USB-C port the only headphones that enable this. So it sounds like it's not going to be the Lightning version because of that jack limitation, probably with sound. I would be venturing to say here. So I
was looking forward to charging mine up, getting the firmware update, and then hanging them under my table, and forgetting about them until ever. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person who listens to my music with my phone stuck in my pocket, so I'm not the person to ask. But it seemed to me like the low latency part was the best part, because that's going to make it quicker, right? If I have that understanding, so that there's no delay.
Or less delay, yeah.
Or less delay. And I think, for people making content and want to look cool, and that's not me either. But, I think that there's more of an audience for that, because it will now be a better device for.
Well, I think the biggest problem is this is basically for music. So, as far as the podcasting audience goes, sure, you could use a lossless file or a lossless file format and have it be more, true to life and all that, as compared to an MP3 or AAC or some of the other audio formats. But MP3 is the one that is going to give you the smallest files, biggest bang for the buck with the smallest files. And it's also more compatible with everything that's out there already.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more deliverable. I mean, it's a platform on the platform. It's out there. For me, the design and the look of the AirPods Max has not aged well. They look kind of hip and cool to start with, and just little too not too pretty anymore.
Going to our YouTube chat at youtube.com/intouchwithiOS. We got Witherbucket out there. That's Jill's brother. Thanks for being with us, as well as Bob Beach. Great to see you, Bob Beach. He says about the lossless audio, says lossless audio with the USB-C cable, but what makes it really useful, that they are Bluetooth headphones. So that is true. But Bluetooth, I mean, it might have some limitations with audio, don't you think? when it comes to this.
Well, I mean, Bluetooth is slower than either wired or, some of the other standards that are out there.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you're just listening to music and there's a slight delay from when whatever device it is that's playing the music and when you hear it in your headphones, I don't think it really matters that much. I
Right.
think it's nice to have the lower latency, and maybe that would come into play if you're using it to watch TV or something along those lines.
Right.
But if you're just listening to music, if it's getting to your headphones faster, I think that it's not as important as having a better sounding file.
Yeah.
Wait, let me put this to you though. What if you're DJing Kim Kardashian's party and you're using the headphones? That might be the combination.
Oh,
right
you're
there.
totally screwed if you go.
That's right.
The Kardashians will stand there and say, "Go, go."
Yeah. So we were talking about the comparison between the Lightning version and the USB-C. I completely forgot I had this in the show notes. So there is an article here talking about what the differences are between the two, and there's a comparison grid here. So the big thing here is this: the enhanced audio via Lightning to a 3.5 millimeter audio cable versus the USB-C, which has the 24-bit 48K kilohertz lossless audio via the cable. So you don't have that option. And then you also don't have lossless personalized spatial audio via that USB cable on the Lightning. It has reduced latency audio via Lightning on the USB cable, on the 3.5 audio cable, whereas the USB-C version has the ultra low latency. So there are a number of differences when it comes to that. So Apple has since discontinued that, because we questioned that first when they released this back in September of 2024. We questioned this. Okay, that's great. So all you did was add the USB-C port, and that was it. That's what we thought at first here. So this so now you got the 7 months later here. We're finally now finding out what really the difference was with the USB-C connector. But is it worth it? I don't know. Because not everybody's gonna like this. We talked about the lossless audio may not be for everybody anyway. So I think the light. I mean, I was using her headphones.
D converters.
Yeah, I've used my wife's AirPods Max, and they're phenomenal headphones. I mean, they really are. So interesting to see with all this stuff and where we're at with all this, and we'll definitely see where this goes. So let's go and talk a little bit about the iPad. iPad's base iPad didn't get AI, but this is interesting. There's a chart here showing the differences of where this is. So you have, we got the major new updates when we got the M4 iPad Pro, which I have and absolutely love. And of course, the iPad Mini got its A17 Pro chip that enabled Apple Intelligence on the Mini. But there has been not one, but two iPad Air updates that reportedly added, and as well as a 13. Importantly, they also added the 13-inch size for the Air. So really, what are you looking at here? You're looking at the fact that it doesn't make sense. Why would you want to put this in the low end? Because that's how it's always been. And there's just really no reason why that they would have to do this. So.
When you look at the chart, I mean, it looks to me like the base iPad model is the one that has the most growth. I mean, you have
because it's cheap.
For the iPad. Yeah, exactly. And when you look at the fact that why are people buying iPads? Well, they're mostly buying them to consume content or reading books and watching movies. And they're not. Apple has these amazing commercials where,
of course,
you've got a little girl that's sitting out there and she's making movies and she's doing all of this stuff and getting ready to be a DJ at the Kardashians, and I mean all these things that well, you can't do that with the base iPad. You have to get the iPad Pro. You have to get the iPad Air. Well, those aren't the reasons. Most people aren't buying iPads to use as their main computer. It's a consumption device, and that's why probably the iPad, the base iPad, is the one that is the fastest growing of all of the various models that Apple sells.
Yeah.
Although I did watch a video yesterday, so I have the camera, the lights, all the things that I have, and she has these fantastic videos, and she goes, "Oh, I just have my iPad Mini, and I make everything on here." And I'm like, "Really? Why
Yeah,
did I bother?"
it can be done. I mean,
It
back in
can be done, but
the very last year of the Macworld Expo, I did not take a computer on purpose. I took what was then I can't even remember what the model was. It was just the regular iPad that had X number of
Right.
storage and all the rest of that. And I made podcasts and I edited videos and I uploaded it. And it took me about twice as long to do it as if I'd had a laptop.
Yeah.
right.
And it was mostly just to prove that you could, not that it was better or that it was necessarily, even taking less equipment than I normally would have. It was more of a pain in the ass than anything else.
Yeah.
It was just to show that I could. And if there had been another Macworld Expo and I'd gone to it, I wouldn't have done it again.
Right.
So just to wrap this up, looking last year, according to this this chart, the iPad, the basic iPad, the 10th gen, and I guess it's considered now, is neck and neck with the iPad Pro. So you have 38%
Yeah.
iPad, 38% iPad Pro. Where you went back many years past, it was nowhere close to it. The iPad Pro is dominant. You go back to 2021, 48% of the iPads that were bought were the Pros. But
Yeah.
technology has really evolved, and there's just so many people out there who, the iPad, the 10th gen iPad is perfectly fine for most people. I mean, do they really need all the Pro stuff? They don't really. I'm sure they don't really care about it, Apple Intelligence, and
There's really not that much to care about with Apple
which is true
Intelligence
because it's
right now.
right now, right? So, but I mean, the iPad, the 10th gen iPad, it's a solid device for a fair amount of people. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, you gotta, um, you gotta look at these numbers. I mean, or look at the percentages. They're percentages. They're not total numbers.
Right, of course.
So when you're going back to 2020, not that far back, but if you do, you see that it has a massive more percentage around iPad Pro. That's because I think sort of the logic there was this is a tool not only for media consumption, but also people wanted to use instead of taking a computer with them or a laptop with them for some sort of development or creative development. So those creatives are going to choose the Pro
Oh, of course.
model. And so you kind of have to not say necessarily the basic iPad model is gaining on the Pro. Well, of course, the processing has gotten better at all levels for it. So there's less need to have pro level models, but it still is, of the total people who are buying iPads and using iPads, it's much more ingrained in our culture to be able to use one of those. So you've got folks who 5 years ago wouldn't have bought an iPad, now buying an iPad, and they're buying the base model.
And I
So-
think too, you're getting people like not Apple people. Before you had I'm going to buy Apple, I'm going to buy the best there is, I'm going to spend all the money. And now we're having a lot of people, like you said, who are just, I don't want to bring a laptop with me. I don't want to carry this around. I just want something that's going to work. And Apple is fantastic at the lowest level. And I think you're getting a lot of people who just never bought an Apple device before suddenly buying Apple.
Absolutely.
And and I don't think folks are thinking about this, but as far as Apple Intelligence is concerned and not being on the base level iPad, there are apps for that. I mean, you can still do AI stuff on the Apple base iPad by using the apps. It's just not integrated into so ChatGPT still runs on a base iPad. Use the app, it'll work.
It's all offload.
Yeah. So,
All right, let's move on to some news stories here this week. Another shuffle at the top here with Apple's management team. Apple named Vanessa Trudgill to a new role of VP of Retail Stores. They're making these changes to the executive team, and that is quite a change. This is going to be she'll be leading all the retail stores across the world. Apple really hasn't confirmed the news yet, but it was reported by Mark Gurman at Bloomberg that Wednesday this week that they're promoting her to the vice president of stores and retail operations. She previously managed locations in the Americas West region, and now she'll oversee heads of retails in Europe, the Middle East, Asia Pac, American East region, as the report says. So that was, as of course, we knew that currently was all being run by Deidre O'Brien. However, the departure of Carol Surface, Apple's first chief people officer, O'Brien took over that in the HR department. So Vanessa joined Apple in 2007. That was right after the launch of the first iPhone. So she's been around with the biggest parts of what's been happening with Apple all these years. So again, it needs some fresh talent to take on these stores, because the stores have always been an amazing experience for me for the most part. I think for all of us that have visited Apple stores. Anybody want to throw out any comments about this?
Every new time they make a change in the store personnel or the person in charge of retail, there's a big splash about how this new person's going to do this and do that and do this and do that. And then they're gone a couple of, 4 years later, they're somewhere else. So I'm reluctant to read anything too deep into this switch. It's not like there was a problem with retail at least that I could tell. It's just there's a new manager there now. That's the news. And to make it any more than that, I think is just speculation.
Yeah, no, it's just more reporting the news here than to look to see that Apple will continue to do great things in Apple retail. So I definitely will say that. So moving on, Final Cut Pro has got some updates this week. Apple released the updated version of its Pro editing software that runs on the Mac. Version 11.1 of Final Cut will include several new features that improves video editing. With Image Playground, video editors can now use Apple Intelligence as much as they can to create styled images, magnetic mask workflows, and streamlined with a new keyboard shortcut to show or hide the magnetic mask organizer. Also, some new features for moving markets and naming audio effects. So there are a number of other updates here, so it's good to see they continue to update the Final Cut Pro. I'm trying to get better using that product. Marty, you use Final Cut Pro?
No, not as much.
You're a Premiere guy. That's right. You're a Premiere guy.
Yeah. Because I transitioned from audio to video, and my transition was from Adobe Audition, and it just seemed the workflow and the menu system and the nomenclature seemed to work pretty well with me going to Premiere over Final Cut. And of course, if I want to do any editing in the video, it automatically opens it up in Audition. From Premiere to Audition. So, I haven't delved into it. There's a couple of products that I've promised myself I'm going to sit down and start watching training videos on how to do it, just because I own them and I'd like to
Me too.
play around with them and have a little bit more flexibility. But time is what's causing
there's that thing called time. Jill, do you use Final Cut Pro?
I am, since I just started my YouTube empire recently, I started out with Descript because I needed something fast to get me up and going and running fast. And my goal is that I'm learning Final Cut Pro right now. I'm excited because when I bought it, people were like, this is a dead product. They're not updating it. This is older. What's wrong with it?
They're keeping up.
And now a lot of energy going into it. And so I am excited to get my transition back over to Final Cut Pro.
And plus they have it on the iPad.
It was a dead product when they decided to put it on the iPad, apparently. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the complaints because I didn't use it back then, but I'm excited about the energy for it. And so I'm going to switch.
I use DaVinci Resolve is what you use, right?
I have used DaVinci. I found that I wasn't using it to its full potential because I didn't really need to. So I've just been using a program called CapCut, and it's not that different from a lot of other. I mean, the big thing I needed was keyframes, and once I had a program that had keyframes and I figured out how it worked, I was good with it.
So check it out. Apple Card, the savings account is a little lower than the interest. It just keeps dropping here. It went from it was at one point it was at 4.25%, and now it went to 3.9, and now it's down to 3.75. Still, it's very competitive. The rest of the banks that are out there. An article in the show notes here showing that the rates of all in the other banks are very close by. I mean, you got a couple here at 4%, but we're talking about a couple very small percentage here.
But usually the ones that have like the super high interest rates, it's either for a
big
limited
balances.
time, or there's certain catches to get that, and you have to leave your money in for a certain amount of time and all the rest. It's like, I'll just stick with the Apple Card.
It's so easy to put the money in there. That's what I love about it. I mean, I've got all my bank accounts linked to it, so money comes in. I'll make a transfer.
And even better, it's easier to get your money out of it.
Yeah,
so
it deposits like the next day.
I can transfer it to my bank. I can go from my bank to the card, or to whatever it is I need to do. And it's it's no fuss, no muss, and it's secure every single time I go to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this popped up on my phone on the flight down here, and I'm like, oh man, why are they doing it again? And then I realized, oh, you dummy, the economy's getting worse, so interest rates are going down. That's why. It is what it is. Yeah. But I agree with Guy. I just set it and forget it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I mean, obviously, with all
just paying off my next Mac.
Well, then there's that. Yeah.
And you get anywhere from 2 to 5% back on almost all your purchases.
Yeah, 2-3% usually, or 5% depending if there's a promotion. So, but all the discussion over the last 2 years about when Goldman Sachs is pulling out from this whole program, so you still got to worry about that too. So far, it's business as usual as far as we can see.
It's a secret bank account my wife doesn't know about. So please don't tell her.
There you go.
Whatever you do, don't put it on the internet.
Right.
Couple more news stories here before we wrap up. WhatsApp can now be selected as the default call and messaging app on the iPhone. Now, WhatsApp can now be selected that way for the default if you so wish. A change to the latest version in the WhatsApp is now available, and it causes the Meta-owned encryption chat platform to now show up in the messaging and call center the calling center options in iOS under iOS settings, apps, and default apps. Apple is introducing a new way to select preferred default apps since iOS 18.2. Apple initially said the feature would be coming just in the European Union, but it turns out it's available worldwide now. So another option for WhatsApp. I'm not a WhatsApp user. I don't know if any of you guys are. So kind of a mute point.
What
for me.
is it?
Yeah, I use it a lot with international teachers. Whenever they come over, they set up a WhatsApp group for messaging because it's cross-platform and it's what they use is primarily. And there were times when working with Android family members, I wish that we would just be messaging on WhatsApp to deal with it more directly, and it's convenient that way.
Yep. Next story here is a hilarious new comedy called The Studio is now streaming on Apple TV Plus. It was a hotly anticipated new comedy series. It's now on Apple TV Plus. It's now the show stars Seth Rogen as a Hollywood exec in control of a studio that is struggling to stay relevant. The show is a comedic satire of quirks of the industry, how the relentless pursuit of IP to the ongoing clash of artistry and business incentives. The show also features a laundry list of cameo appearances throughout. Looks like a really fun show, and Seth Rogen is absolutely hilarious. He's just
I didn't know about this. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, so go check that out. That's going to be a great show. Another show I have to still start watching season 2 of Severance. So I haven't even finished that yet. So have you seen it? Have you seen Severance, Jill? You're making a face there.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay.
But I will say I didn't see this new show, but what I like is every show seems like a copy. We're going to remake Love Boat, and we're going to remake Fantasy Island. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that.
God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at least they are thinking about original things. And so I give them a lot of credit on that. Even if they're losing a lot of money on it, I appreciate it.
I tell you, there's if it just didn't have Seth Rogen in it, because
come on, he's hilarious.
yeah, for the first 3 movies, then it let me see. Oh, is Seth Rogen mugging the camera again? Oh yeah, it's a Seth Rogen movie. So I have been kind of turned. Well, whatever. I've been turned off.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah.
I have to say, that's why I didn't watch it either, because it was Seth Rogen.
I like him. His last show that he did, I think it was called Platonic, that he did on Apple TV Plus. I really enjoyed that show. He did that as well. And, it was really fun. So it's got to be your thing. You got to like him or not like him. So
yeah, that's right.
For shows with Nathan Fillion, that's what I say.
Yes.
There you go.
Ooh, a Nathan Fillion fan.
So 2 more here. If you're a T-Mobile customer, T-Mobile again for this 10th, it's like the 10th year now. I've been really happy since I'm a baseball fan here. They bring back the free subscription to the MLB.TV. It's a perk that you get each year. I just redeemed it yesterday on the T-Life app, and it's every Tuesday. And you have access to all the exclusive content on MLB.TV. They've been partnering with MLB, like I said, for about 10 years now with this. And it's $149 value if you were to get the subscription yourself. So,
well, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, but you have to be a T-Mobile customer to get it, of course.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't know, and it kind of threw me off, and I was actually on tech support with T-Mobile, that I thought that it wasn't working at first, and because I was trying to watch MLB Network because they're offering the content from MLB Network on the app too, but of course you have to pay extra for MLB Network. So, but it was like $60, and I'm a big enough fan, and MLB Network always has some great content to watch. So I decided, what the heck? Because unfortunately, YouTube TV does not have MLB Network as an option, and they haven't for years. So it wasn't a big deal. So, but you can watch out of market games, of course. That's the thing. But you can be somebody like Ben Rathick, where he lives. He's got 4 teams that are in the proximity, which is he can't watch the Brewers, he can't watch the Cubs, he can't watch the White Sox, he can't watch the Minnesota Twins, just because he lives in that northeast corner of Iowa. And I just found out today. I just tried watching. Oh, I take that back. I thought it was blacked out, but I was trying to watch the game today because it was on ESPN. You can't watch it when it's on a national scene. So.
But he gets every single game of the Boise Baysox, though.
That he does.
Right. He does. Hawkeye.
So,
yeah, he's a big Cleveland Guardians fan, from what I understand.
He's a big Cubs fan, like you and I, Marty.
Yeah, the thing is, I get to watch the Cubs because
you're far enough away.
Yeah.
But
so paying the MLB subscription works for me really well. And it gives me, and I've started to notice the MLB TV stuff I used to just tune in for the games, but I'm getting a lot more content on the MLB subscription. So,
yeah. And lastly, Apple Music Classical is updated with 3 new features. Apple Music Classical it's got a couple updates, which includes time-synced listening guides, curated stations, personalized recommendations, and the home tab of the app. You can dive deeper into those time-synced listening guides, over 150 plus popular works. Enjoy non-fun music from curated stations. Version 2.2 was just released, so good to see they're continuing to update this. Of course, you can listen to it on the web, you can listen to it on iPad. You can listen to an iPhone, but you still can't listen to it on a Mac. There's no app for the Mac, which still perplexes me. Why that is? Why can't Apple have the app here and do that? So, anybody have any comments about this?
When not watching Seth Rogen movies, I'm also not listening to the Apple Music Classical.
Yeah, not
my daughter who teaches classical and does, I've been trying to get her into the app, and remind her that it's still there. And she said, yeah, I got to look at that. So this might be another reason to encourage her to take a look at it.
I do like the classical app quite a bit. I have huge ADD problems and I can't listen to music at the same time I'm doing anything else. So the classical channel has been great for me. Yeah. So.
All right, before we wrap up here, I want to still make sure I mention Macstock. Macstock Conference and Expo is coming up. It's going to be July 11th, 12th, and 13th in Crystal Lake, Illinois. We got 3 full days of great content that's going to be happening, including the workshops are going to be melded into all 3 days. You won't have just a one-day workshops; they'll be all there. You get some great content here. Jill, did you submit another talk? I hope you did.
I did, and Micah approved it. So,
all right,
yeah, there you go.
That's great to hear. I was approved for as well. What a surprise! But Marty, I think you're going to be speaking as well. And
I have the pleasure of sitting and listening to everybody crap talk Apple Intelligence, and of course, the subject that I pulled to talk about was on Apple Intelligence. So when people start talking about it, I get really quiet.
Yeah,
because I'm going to have to figure out how to gild that turkey. And so I'm doing a workshop on that. And then my son is joining me to do a workshop on travel gear.
Awesome.
So
nice.
It will be a father and son presentation. Yeah, I'm trying to teach him how to cool his humor down a little bit because he can open mouth, insert foot more than his dad.
He's
edgy. Is it like father, like son? I was going to say.
This is what you do, Marty. Have ChatGPT write up your presentation. Imagine, if you will, what Apple Intelligence is going to look like.
Whoa.
Well, I'm probably going to go into agentic stuff and maybe do some things that I'm using, tools that I'm using to do the work that I do in terms of productivity. Yeah. But we'll see. Maybe it'll cross the finish line just before Macstock, and I'll have a different talk to give.
Let's hope. So there's still early bird pricing available. $3.99 is the early bird price, but you only can get that through March 29th. As we're recording this, you should be able to hear this and be able to grab this great early bird price. It's amazing.
Don't sleep on it.
Don't sleep on it. You got to take it. You got to do it.
The great thing about I have been talking off and on all these years about, all the times I went to the Macworld Expo and blah, 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 blah. Well, that was now 11 years ago since that ended. But the great thing about Macstock isn't that there's wall-to-wall vendors all over the place. But what Macstock has that
working people,
unfortunately, Macworld was not able to keep going was the sense of community. And that community is what saw Apple through the dark times. That community is what built them back up to the company that they are now. And that community is what you will see and hear and learn from those 3 days in Woodstock, Illinois. And it is not that far away from Chicago. So you don't really have any excuse for saying, well, I don't think I can get there.
And Rockford, the Rockford airports, that's the win.
Mm-hmm.
That's if you can fly into Rockford, that's not too bad of a drive from there.
Cheaper.
So
cheaper.
Go to macstockconferenceandexpo.com.
Yep.
And there's a link in the show notes. Come see us. You're going to see it. All of us here. We'll hope we see you guys.
I hope to.
Yep. And we want to see you. Jeff's going to be there. Chuck Joyner's going to be there. We'll all be back. And Allison Sheridan, I guarantee we'll be there, as well as many other our friends and some new people too. So
maybe Brittany and I can start our small hands and small pockets rebellion.
Brittany Smith might be there. We don't know yet.
Women's pants with bigger pockets. That's what the next revolution will be about.
So,
I'm hoping to learn needlepoint this year.
No, we're not doing that again. We did the yarn last year. No, I'm not doing that. That was a good one. Kelly Gumont did that. So, Macstock.conferenceandexpo.com. Go to the site. The links are there. We want to see you. It's July 11th, 12th, 13th. So we can't wait. And that's about how I think if you look at
forgot about one of the really great things about the Macstock Conference and Expo is the fact that it's being held in a hotel.
We're not leaving.
You can stay at, so you don't have to travel all over the place. You leave your room in the morning and you're right there.
You are.
Right.
Right now, as we record this, 105 days until Macstock. So come see us. We'd love to have you. With that, thanks for all of you being here, being on the show. We had a great time. It was a blast. But so we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on BlueSky and Mastodon. I'm at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We'd really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. Please, we would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe when you're notified when we are live streaming, which is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. Thank you to Bob Beach. Thank you for that. Wither Bucket, excuse me. It looks like Jim Ray was in the chat tonight.
Jim Ray.
See you there too as well. Well, thanks for all those folks, and you can be joining us live when we record the shows. So please come join us live. You can have a fun chatting with us. So
he likes my hat.
He did like your hat. So you also can go see our current past live streams and our past live streams. I leave them up there, as well as you can listen to past shows right on YouTube. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics are discussed and flipped in that magazine. Just link is in our show notes. You can subscribe. To the show in your favorite podcatcher, which includes Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, many others. But better yet, just go over our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are on that site. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on BlueSky, Mastodon, at DaveG65. Jill McKinley, thank you for being here, and what a pleasure as always for having you here. Where can people find you?
Well, the easiest way is just look for Jill from the North Woods.
Yeah.
And you can find me in podcasts, and you can find me on YouTube. And I'm new at YouTube, so don't be mean. But just getting there.
Like, share, subscribe.
That's right.
And share, subscribe. But Jill from the North Woods.
All right. Thanks for being here. And Guy Serle, thank you for being here as well. It's always a pleasure having you. Where can people find you?
It's always great to be here. I really appreciate the fact that some people actually want to hear something I have to say. It astounds me every single time. You can find me almost every single week over at the mymac.com podcast that I do with Gaz. You can send me email, guy@mymac.com. I am Mac Parrot and Vert Shark over there on BlueSky as well as on Twax. And I guess that's about it.
All right.
Good old Twax.
And Marty Jencius, thank you for being here. You're on your conference this week and took the time off to be with us. I appreciate that. Where can people find you?
Well, right now in Orlando. But I was stupid enough to use my real name, Jencius, Jencius. You can find that on Mastodon. You can find it on also on BlueSky. Products and not products, but stuff that I produce in terms of podcasts and vodcasts you can find through the podtalk.net, including Gear Up and Go and Vision Profiles on Monday and the Old Mac Gang on Wednesday. So,
all right. And thanks to everybody for listening, for watching, being here, supporting the show. We really appreciate it. We love doing this show every week, and we'll definitely be back next week for more great discussions about Apple and technology. But until then, thanks again, and we'll talk again soon.